This is Dave Lombardo, and you're listening to Brutally Delicious Podcast with Bruce Moore.
Brutally Delicious!
Hey, you're listening to the Brutally Delicious Podcast. I'm Bruce.
And I'm Chris.
And today I am honored to have Dave Lombardo. Many of you know him from Slayer, Suicidal Tendencies, but he's out promoting a movie that he did the soundtrack on. And Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about it, because you're a little more connected to it.
Well, the movie, from what I understand, is about a metal band or a rock band that left Cuba. And then they went and toured around and did all kinds of stuff. And when they went back 30 years later, and it's kind of that story, from what I understand.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, just a trailer.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I just read about it. And the cool part about it is that it's about a band from Cuba, and Dave Lombardo was actually born in Cuba. He was born in Havana.
So a little connection there.
Yeah, he was born in Havana. So the other cool thing about it is I don't think that the way he described the soundtrack, it doesn't sound like there was any metal involved. It sounded like it was a lot of ambient stuff and more composition, which kind of shows that he's pretty versatile in what he does.
I am a lifelong fan from back like in '83. And I've been out and about. I've run into him a few times here and there, especially on 70,000 Tons. I think it was his wife he was with, but it was, we were out looking for Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee, running around the shops there. Me, Denise, and him, and I believe it was his wife. And I was like, holy shit, I'm running around Jamaica with Dave Lombardo from Dead Cross or Suicidal Tendencies or a Slayer. And, it's been an idol. So this will be a really nice treat. I'm probably going to nerd out a tiny bit.
That's the best part of that cruise, man. Like, fuck. I remember in 2016, I was on the way back to the boat with my wife and Angela, my friend.
Yeah, I know Angela.
And we're standing behind this couple, and and I'm like, "Oh, hey, what are you guys doing here?" And they're like, well, we have a set later tonight. We're playing. I was like, "Oh, cool." I found out later that it's Jen, the guitar player from Evanescence.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was just like,
nice.
Oh, she was playing in a different band at the time. I don't remember what band, but I was just like, oh, okay. We just waited in line drinking beers, chatting with them the whole time.
Yep, that's what happened there. Denise and I were out looking for coffee, and I turned around and went to grab something, and I looked up and went, holy fuck, it's Dave Lombardo. And then he's like, so what do you think of that coffee? I'm in. Dave Lombardo. Holy shit.
Yeah, the quote on the wiki, on his wiki page says, one of his bandmates get angry at him because they have to warm up for an hour to get ready to play this thrash, and he just walks in and sits down and plays.
Can you imagine?
Because he's just a natural at what he does.
Right. Can you imagine the way he plays and he just sits down and does it?
Oh, yeah. Just like, okay, time to play.
That's wild.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, so let's go ahead and get him on the line and see what he's got to say.
Portions of this recording have been pre-recorded.
Hey, Chris, we got Dave on the phone. Dave, meet my partner, Chris.
Hey, Dave, how you doing? I'm well, thank you. How you doing? Awesome.
So anyway, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it. I know you're busy. I guess we'll just jump right into the film. How did you get involved in, I'm going to butcher it because I don't know Spanish, but Los Ultimos, how do you pronounce that last part?
Los Ultimos Freakies.
Oh, okay, it was right. I didn't want to butcher it, but how did you get involved in that? I know you're Cuban descent, but how did that come about?
The director, Nicholas Brennan, contacted me approximately 9 years ago and presented this story to me and asked me if I was interested in scoring the documentary. I found the story fascinating, and I felt pretty big connection with not only the story but with the musicians, because I clearly felt that that could have been me if my parents didn't come to the States in the late 60s.
Okay. How did you? I got one more, but how did you find time to do something like that? I mean, between suicidal tendencies and I don't know if are you still doing film, by the way, or is that
No.
okay?
No.
I know I talked to you on the last tour cycle with film, but how do you keep up with it with the tour cycle and the suicidal tendencies?
A lot of you have to focus. You have to stay focused, and you have to put aside any kind of extra, curricular,
Right.
activities that go on. Whatever, you just have to, hone it in. Say, hey, I can't hang out with you, tonight.
Right.
It's a friend or something. I got to work, and seriously, sit there in front of the computer and write, and so it really takes a lot of discipline to do something like this, especially I come off tour, and I'll give myself, okay, let's say my plane lands at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, I have the rest of the day. Maybe have a day off and then start working the next day, or just immediately start working the following day.
Right.
And until my next scheduled either show or rehearsal.
Okay, Chris.
Well, I think the synopsis of the film is really cool. Having visited Cuba multiple times, I spent about 6 weeks down there. And some friends of mine actually just sponsored a metal festival actually down there where they went and played. I think they played in Havana, in Pinar del Rio somewhere, and one other place. I can't remember the place, but they like took 3 bands with them and they went and did like a Cuban metal festival, which I found really kind of inspiring. And how has being born into like a Cuban American family kind of changed the way that you kind of perceive your life in America?
Well, it was funny because growing up in America, when I was living with my parents, that was a Cuban household, straight up. There was
Right.
coffee, the scent of cigars, there was rum, there was Cuban food, there was Cuban music. But as soon as I stepped outside that door, that was America. And,
Right.
I found, that America had all these opportunities, they're growing up. This is a land opportunity. You can make it here. This is where if you work hard and you kick ass and you keep your nose clean, you can go somewhere. And, with that instilled in my mind, as a child, I felt that I had every single opportunity, available to me. I mean, watching my own dad come to this country without knowing a single word of English. Okay, get a job. His trade in Cuba, he was a butcher, so he found himself a great job with great benefits, and he worked there until he retired. He bought a house. He bought his cars. He took care of the family, and he lived the American dream. And what's wonderful about that is that a person that came to this country without knowing a word of English kicked ass and was able to support his family. So I saw a major contrast in approach when it comes to work ethic from my family to not only, I mean, I saw similarities in a lot of other families, but then I saw a lot of families that were exploiting, the opportunities
Sure.
here, exploiting them in a negative way. So, it was real interesting, and I think seeing that, I think drove me further into pursuing what I loved.
Nice.
That's awesome. And that work ethic probably got passed down to you, and it probably really propelled your musical career in a way. Because you had that belief.
Yes. Yeah, and I still do. I could probably go through any any situation, and I'll still come up with my head above the water because I have that drive. I've been in situations where I've been without a band, without work, without any direction, just my own instincts. And just the thought of just me pursuing life and just, hey, I'm going to stay positive, and I'm going to prevail. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to, if I need to start a new band, I will start a new band. And if I, need to schlep my drums around, Europe and do drum workshops because I don't have a band, I'll fucking do it, whatever it takes. So that work ethic definitely was instilled in me. I just recently did an interview, and they asked me, hey, how do you feel about, touring in a van? And it's like, you know what? I started touring in a car with Slayer going across country.
Right.
And, we slowly went into a van, and then we got to finally, during Rain and Blood, we got into a tour bus. Wow, that was a change. Then we started doing tour bus tours, across the country and Europe. Then I found myself in a band. We continued on tour buses, but then I found myself joining Phantomus with Mike Patton, and we went back into a van. And we did tours, in a van throughout Europe with Phantomus until we didn't, perform anymore. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how or what means there are to tour or whatever. You just get out there and do it.
All right.
Amazing.
So getting back to the film for a second, I know we're jumping around here, but did they have an idea of what they wanted from you, or did you just go in there and start from scratch and put it all together?
I started from scratch. I knew that the music, I didn't have to create any kind of metal music or anything like that in that genre, because all of that was supplied by the band that was being featured in the documentary. What I had was the cues. There was about 30 to 40 cues. Cues meaning short snippets of the film, and I had to create a body of work. Or short, it could be 30 seconds, it could have been a minute and a half. They all varied. And I had to draw from the emotion that was coming from the scene, and I had to create a piece revolving that scene. I had to take notes from the director, and I had to sit down with the director and one of the executive producers, and, I would take notes, and they would tell me, okay, we need this section, something a little more, melancholy, something a little more, dramatic, an undertone, some kind of a soundscape.
Right.
And there was a lot of also sound design that went into some of the tones that I was using, and and it was honestly one of the greatest experiences that I've had musically. I was working within my own creativity. I wasn't relying on other musicians and having to feed off of what they're trying to convey. I just went ahead and just took the bull by the horns, and I was under my own, creative, control.
So if the opportunity arose, would you do something like that again?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I enjoyed it very, very much.
Nice.
I've mixed feature films for Universal and Disney, and I've worked with some pretty high-end composers. Did you find the process at first, you thought, oh, I just have to match the picture, this will be fine, and then as you started going, you realized, well, there's no tempo to these cuts. How do I make all of this fit together and work without any tempo map, really?
Sorry, real quick, can you repeat that again, because it sounds a little...
Oh, sorry. Okay. So, I've done films for Universal and Lionsgate and indie movies, all the stuff. I've worked with high-end composers. When you were composing for the film, when you first started, did you think, oh, this will be cool, I can just create some mood music, and then as you got into it, you realized, wow, they didn't cut this picture to any tempo. I have to hit the cuts. How am I going to fit all this together? Did you find that challenging?
I feel that I have a very instinctual something inside of me that's instinctual, that when I see something, I automatically find let's say if they send me just a cue, I'll look at that cue and, because they'll tell me, okay, the music should start at this point and should end at this point. So I'll look at that and I'll have a sense of rhythm or mood. I'll follow the interaction between the, not the actors, but the people involved in the scene, and I'll see how it flows, and then I will then feed off of that and then create the momentum of the score. It's just something you just have to just feel out. It wasn't difficult. I knew what I had to do. It's just being happy with what, the outcome is what I was, mainly focused on. I wanted to make sure that what I was delivering was what their direction and what they were envisioning as well.
Right.
That's where my next question was going to go, because as a musician, sometimes when you deliver something and someone doesn't like it, the musician kind of gets an emotional response in a way where they're like, well, I really like it. But when you're working on a film, you're kind of the employee of the director and the producers. So how many recalls did they give you? Or did they give you any at all? Or were they just happy with what you delivered?
No, there were recalls, absolutely. And there were some, no, Dave, we need something more like this, or they changed their mind, and then I would have to come up with something else. That's understandable. I experienced that with, I did a pilot, I wrote music to a pilot to a Disney cartoon, and I felt, I experienced, the recalls and, the change of minds, 2 or 3 directors, sitting there, and producers, and no, we need a little more of this, a little more of that, and that was exciting, and interesting all at the same time, and a new experience. But working with composers throughout my career, Tyler Bates, Joseph Bishara, Christopher Young, recalls are part of the norm. It's part of the process. And one experience that Tyler Bates told me about was a movie he was working on that he wrote the score, and he felt that it was practically done. And then the directors and producers went back and said, no, we want something totally different. And he had to rewrite the whole thing. I don't know how many hours of music he had written. And then the directors went back, you know what? We like the original score better. And
oh, man.
It felt like he felt like punching himself in the face. But those stories prepared me for what I was getting to. So I expected the recalls.
So you guys are on the road with Suicidal now, and then what do you got going on after that?
I will be, let's see, I play San Diego this weekend, and then shortly after that, I think I'm flying over to Mexico City and doing Knot Fest.
Oh, nice.
With Suicidal, and doing a show in El Salvador. Then I'll be back, and then I'm doing a Misfits show in Philadelphia with the Misfits.
Yeah, pretty amazing too. What about Dead Cross? Is that on the side now?
No, we are recording a new album in December.
Oh, sweet. I know I caught you on the 70,000 Tons. Actually, you and I were looking at coffee in Jamaica at some point.
We were looking at what?
Jamaican Blue Mountain Coffee on the 70,000 Tons of Metal cruise. Down in Jamaica?
Oh. Yeah, you were on that cruise.
I was. Yeah, we ended up in the same shop looking at coffee.
Yeah. Yep.
I missed that cruise and I was so pissed off. I missed that cruise. I was so pissed off because my buddy Ken was in charge of doing all the video on that cruise. So I actually ended up editing it, and I was watching you play, and I was like, fuck, how did I miss this? I've been on almost every one, but that was the one I missed, and I was like, fuck. So I had to edit you a lot. I came across all your live footage, and I was like, holy fuck, this guy can play.
Wow. Yeah, I remember I did something with some of the guys from Annihilator. I think we did a Judas Priest.
Yeah,
a Judas Priest song.
Yeah, and they do that like the greatest hit. I mean, all the musicians just kind of jam. Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome. Great time. Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I appreciate your time. Be well. Good luck with the
likewise,
the rest of your tours, and I thanks you again, man.
Okay.
All right, cheers, brother. Right now.
Take care.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks for your contribution to metal, man. Take it easy.
You're welcome. Thank you, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello out there.
Yes, hello out there, everyone. I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. Together we host None But the Brave, a podcast dedicated to the music and career of Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce and E Street Band are on tour right now for the first time in 6 years, and we're taking a detailed look at what's happening on stage in our bi-weekly episodes.
We've also been recently joined by some very exciting guests, including rock journalist Warren Zanes and Stephen Hayden, Backstreet's Magazine founder Charles Cross, and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
If you're a diehard Springsteen fan, this is the show for you.
So please subscribe to None But the Brave on your favorite podcasting platform, and we hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.